sure that the people that I'm paying, the people that I'm employing, aren't living in poverty.
Ontario's Labour Minister calls on businesses to not bully workers in the wake of the province's minimum wage hike. Ontario's Labour Minister says a higher minimum wage helps vulnerable workers, and Kevin Flynn warns that it will be enforced. Controversy erupted when some Tim Hortons franchisees announced their reaction to Ontario's minimum wage increase. They indicated to employees that they'd be paying for it one way or another. Joining me now from Toronto is the CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick from Queen's Park. So let's talk about this, what has been a hot topic in the province for days, and what did the Labour Minister have to say about it all?
Well, he was defending the minimum wage hike, standing by it, saying it's the fair thing to do here in Ontario. And he was also making it clear that he's not happy with how some businesses have been reacting to it, saying that he's angry and disappointed that it seems that some businesses may not be in compliance with the law. They might be violating it. And if not, at the very least, he's saying they're violating the spirit of the law. And he was promising that the province intends to enforce the labor laws, both the existing ones and the new changes that came into effect under a new piece of legislation on January 1st. That's the one that did hike the minimum wage up to $14 an hour in this province, among other changes. So he was saying how the province has hired 175 new enforcement officers. There's also a hotline that was set up that people can call to complain anonymously if they think any of the labor laws are being violated. He noted there's been a 30% increase in the number of calls that the Ministry of Labour usually gets just in the recent number of weeks. And so, yeah, his basic message, John, to employers was you better comply with this law, and if not, we will be enforcing it. They've increased penalties as well. Here's a bit more of what the Labour Minister had to say this morning.
These stories, I believe, do not represent the vast majority of business in Ontario, but simply put, this bullying behavior will not be tolerated. We knew when we unveiled Bill 148 that there would be a reaction from some business. The minimum wage, I don't believe ever in history has been raised without the business community raising a fuss or concerns. For some businesses to take it out on their workers, however, is completely unacceptable.
And so, John, he was really encouraging any businesses that have already taken some actions that he thinks negatively impact employees or considering it to think twice about it, to reverse course. And he says, in the meantime, he and the Premier and the Ministry of Labour have your back. That was his messages to workers. Yeah,
pointing out that a third of the province, in fact, makes less than $15 an hour, which is only slightly over the new minimum wage. So he's promising to stick up for workers, enforce the law. But Tim Hortons is what got this all rolling. What did he have to say about that?
Yeah, that really has been sort of the flashpoint. There have been other businesses that have been reacting, of course, to the minimum wage, making changes to how they run their businesses, but the headlines have been dominated by those stories, initially coming out of Cobourg, Ontario, some franchises there. The Labour Minister noted, John, that the headquarters for Tim Hortons is actually in his riding in Oakville, Ontario, and that he personally knows many franchise owners. He says Tim Hortons is a good corporate partner, very active in the community. He says he likes how corporate Tim Hortons has been reacting to these stories, and it seems to be just some of these individual franchise owners that are taking this out or blaming the minimum wage hike for the changes that they're making. And he says it seems to be kind of an internal fight between corporate Tim Hortons and some of these franchise owners, but that workers are getting caught in the middle. Here's more of what he said about Tim Hortons.
I think Tim Hortons corporately has acted in a responsible way. I think what we're seeing is individual franchisees who are the ones that are, who appear to be either not complying with the spirit of the law, or in some cases, if the allegations are proved to be true in some other locations, are actually doing things that are illegal.
So he didn't say anything about allegations specifically with those Cobourg franchises, John, but he was sort of speaking generally anywhere that the Ministry of Labour will take any allegations seriously, look into them, and if they find any violations, they will enforce the laws.
Thanks for this, Megan. CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick at the legislature in Toronto.